fired up.
The snap, the put down, the swing of the leg. It is on its way. It is good! Cincinnati wins the American Championship.
Here comes the quarterback, Burrow, looking for a block, and he got it up in the front by Hopkins into the end zone. Touchdown! What a skip!
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Welcome back.
Hey guys.
It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. I am Aaron Smith, joined as always by Jeff Howell, except for last week, and also joined by the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, Ed Mayhall. Gentlemen.
Hey, how you guys doing?
What a crazy weekend of football. Had some highs, had some lows for the city, but I think we have to start once again with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, you want to start with the Bengals?
I do want to start. I mean, we're all wearing the Bengals hats without even telling each other we were going to wear the Bengals hats.
We sure didn't.
But it was another just dynamic performance that this team is starting to get very used to from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, as the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs at home to clinch the AFC North. And they still have a chance with that win of clinching the bye and the conference, essentially. So what were your thoughts as you were watching on Sunday this nail-biter of a game as it came down to literally as the clock ran out?
I mean, I think it goes a lot back to what we've talked about all year, that as long as Joe is back there and they've got the weapons that they've got on offense, and the culture and mentality of this team is where it is now and not where it used to be, they're not out of any game. And yes, I realize who they were playing this weekend, but it looked like it was on the verge of becoming, we've said it before earlier this season, there were some games where it looked like it was about to get ugly for the Bengals. And in some cases it did. But I think they've kind of shown more the ability to take the next series as a fresh one and only build on the positives and just kind of forget about any negative things that occur on the field. And that's what's led to us having an AFC North championship team in the city of Cincinnati.
Well, I know we talked about this earlier this season when the Bengals went into Baltimore and won a game, or when the Bengals went into Pittsburgh and won a game, and not just won either of those games, but won those games pretty handily. But do you think either of those games, or is this the game that's a bigger turning point for this team to really and truly build off of? As with both of those previously mentioned games, they did turn around and kind of choke after those wins. Like the moment was too big for them.
Right. I think this is the game that we build off of. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't expect to beat Kansas City. I thought, Travis Kelce was going to go off. He's in his hometown. Thought he was going to go off. I mean, and he started to. Did the nice UC down the drive there in the end zone. But cool. But yeah, I mean, we were down 14-0 early, and they came back. It was an amazing game. Chase just played lights out. Well,
it was a rookie record set on Sunday, as he did pass Chad Johnson as the most yards in a game for a rookie receiver for the Bengals, as he finished with.
That was the most yards in a game at all.
Was it at all?
For a Bengals receiver?
I believe it's at all, yeah.
It's also the NFL rookie record.
Okay.
There were lots of records that were tied
Lots of records are broken.
So that put him 266 on 12 catches, or I'm sorry, 11 catches, 12 targets, 3 touchdowns. The long was that 72-yard catch and run that he had, which was he just outran everybody on that particular play. And I think I saw somewhere that he's like 13 yards shy of the Bengals season record.
Yes.
Now
29 yards, maybe. It's minimal.
Somewhere in there.
I think there needs to be an asterisk by that because this is a 17-game season as opposed to a 16-game season.
Okay.
Okay.
You bring this up, so I have to clear the air. All right. There was a tweet that went out, and people were they were saying Jamar Chase, he broke the rookie NFL season receiving record. To which I just commented on it and said, and he did it in 16 games. And then some folks came for my neck, and they were like, so did Justin Jefferson. So I was only they're like, this is the first year 17 and blah. I get that. I was just pointing out that there shouldn't be any kind of asterisk or whatever you want to call it, because he did it in 16 games. He didn't need the 17th game for that particular record. For many of the records that he has set, obviously if he gets the Bengals single season record, obviously maybe they put a little like next to it, which is fair enough.
They won't, because it is 17 regular. Now. I mean, it'll just say 17 games on that same stat line as opposed to 16 games. Same as like back in the day when there were only 10 games in the season, then there were 12 games in the season. So I mean,
things
the
change.
NFL has evolved.
Absolutely, but I had some folks that were trying to make it out like I was an idiot, that I didn't know that this is the first time that the NFL's played 17 games. I'm like, no, hold on.
I have a podcast, sir.
Yeah,
make sure you say that.
I have a podcast.
Make sure you say that kind of stuff.
I mean, anybody can have a podcast now, I guess, so it's not a big deal. But and then I didn't realize, I guess, like Odell Beckham only played like 3 games the year that he set the record. So I think he only played 12 games that year, which is crazy.
That is wild.
It is wild.
And I don't know. I think that it's now you have Joe 2 games in a row where he's just set these crazy high standards for himself. It was 525 last week. This week, 30 of 39 for 446 and 4 scores. I mean,
you can't tell me you cannot tell me, especially with the way that he carries himself in post-game press conferences and anytime he speaks to the media, that he didn't see some things on the Twitter sphere that said like, oh yeah, he was playing against whatever
defeated Ravens,
backups off the practice squad, guys from like the grocery store or whatever they were trying to say, who playing for the Ravens. Like, who cares? And they're saying like, oh, whatever he did there, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make it's not as impressive. And then he turns around and goes the next week, like you can't tell me that he wasn't trying to eye 500 again.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not like he didn't. It's not like the Bengals didn't have the same type of an outcome against the Ravens. If we're going back to that game,
right.
the same Ravens team with the actual starters the first time they played
at the beginning of the year, right?
Correct. So I don't know. I'm not here for any of that, but I don't know. I mean, I think this is quite a statement game, as it does come against the 11-4 at that time Kansas City Chiefs, now 11-5. I don't know that anybody expected what happened with Kansas City at the beginning of this season, and they came on after the beginning of the season and have been lights out since.
What they start like 3-4 or something like that?
It was not good. People were talking about, did Patrick Mahomes lose a step? Did the league figure out Patrick Mahomes? Whatever the case was, they have since been on fire. until they ran into what's now becoming a buzzsaw in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I want to go back to a conversation we had earlier this season when we had Chad on. Is Joe Burrow a top 5 quarterback in the league? Because I don't think I look so crazy anymore.
You don't.
Is there anyone else right now? Like, who would you take over Joe Burrow?
Aaron Rodgers.
For how long?
Let me tell you something right now.
It's kind of a head case.
This is some recency bias, obviously. But I'm not rocking with anybody but Joey B. I don't care who you give me. Give me Tom Brady. I don't care. I want Joey B back there. I'm saying it right now.
Well, I mean, especially if you're building a franchise, you're not going to do that with an aging Tom Brady. You have maybe 1 or 2 years, or until he's 58. Who knows?
And that is no knock on any of those other quarterbacks that are top tier quarterbacks. All I am saying is A, Aaron was right. B, there's not enough of a drop off between them and what you're getting with Joey B right now.
Well, and people were talking about at the beginning of the season, Baker Mayfield being a better quarterback. People were talking about, is Joey Burrow even better than Tua? I think that at this point you can say that the Justin Herbert comparison should be over, at least at this point in time, unless Herbert continues to grow. But I will say that I think prior to this season, Herbert had better weapons around him anyway.
Now let me give you this other ridiculous take that I saw today on the Twitter sphere, because that's where all the smart people are at. There was a tweet that tried to diminish Burrow's abilities because he was older when he came into the league than anybody else. Like, just because you're an older person, that you should magically already skip all of like the rookie learning curve.
Well, if that's the case, then stay in college. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he didn't have an opportunity to really get on the field.
I still think that's rather dumb.
It's silly. That take doesn't make sense.
A poor take. There have been plenty of quarterbacks that have waited their time to make their debut in the NFL and been 27, 28, 30, whatever, and flamed out. I'm positive at this point that Joe Burrow for red shortstop. Thanks, Clay.
He probably do pretty good.
I'm positive at this point. I think he's got an eidetic memory. Like, I don't think he forgets anything. I think he just recalls everything he's able to recall. The reads that he makes, the way he breaks things down afterwards when questions of that nature are posed to him is a treat.
You saw when they did the Christmas gift video in the locker room, and he has a chessboard right by his locker.
Apparently Joey Votto's a big chess guy too, so
I think a lot of athletes are big chess guys.
I don't think that that's actually true. I think that a lot of upper tier athletes are big chess guys, not that's the fair. Guys who are, these middling guys.
What about 70-year-old referees, Aaron? Do you think they're big chess guys?
I think they're more pinochle.
Pinochle and maybe shuffleboard.
I don't know who was. I tagged you in it. Somebody tweeted out like, why is there a 70-year-old man?
It was Boston.
Was that during the Bengals game or was that during the Bearcats game? I can't remember.
I don't know. I just immediately kept scrolling. I don't know. I think that you got me so derailed with that. I just get so mad about older referees. Ugh. So what do you think the ceiling is on this team? Because I did see something, somebody else had tweeted this somewhere, and what the actual context was, I don't even know of the entire tweet. But they brought up the fact that they believed that Cincinnati was doing what they're doing right now about a year ahead of schedule.
I think we've talked about that on numerous occasions this year.
Most
people had the Bengals at the bottom of the division this year, roughly around 3 or 4 wins. Clearly that's not the case. And I think it was that particular tweet was in relation to drafting Chase over Sewell as people still are arguing about that, which is just a wild, wild ride. If that's still the hill that you're willing to die on.
I mean, I really haven't paid a lot of attention to like how Sewell's been doing. I know at the beginning of the year it sounded like maybe he was like having a rocky start, and then like he was doing all right. I don't know, but I can tell you this: he's not catching passes for touchdowns and racking up yards and making that kind of. He's not blocking enough. Okay, and maybe T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd could obviously they have that capability. But I still think, I went back. Obviously, I sent you guys like clips from that episode because I went back to listen to like what we said on our Bengals Superfan episodes. We were all Team Chase, and we all had a lot of the same takes. So, okay, maybe Burrow's going to have to move around a little bit more. They don't fill in the line. We've had some injuries to our line. Again, like, it is what it is. But you don't pass on a talent like Jamar Chase because of what he's been able to open up for the rest of the team. I don't know that T. Higgins and Boyd, or even, Mixon's good, but the threat of having somebody on the outside that can do what he did on that touchdown catch, where he catches the ball with like 11 guys in the opposing uniform surrounding him, and he just makes it work and then runs away from everyone.
I don't know. I mean, you had both T and Tyler Boyd here last year. If you go back into the offseason, they did make a move for Kenny Golladay that didn't pan out. And quite honestly, thanks, Kenny, because I don't know if the Bengals draft Jamar Chase, if they do end up signing a Kenny Golladay. But this was what I was talking about anyway, all offseason. I know you guys have heard me say this, but it goes back to the reason they went after Jamar Chase had everything to do with coverage sacks from last year. When AJ Green was supposed to be the guy opening up the top and making the safeties have to, be that guy dropping on a second person, so that it opened up things for your slot guy, for your number two. Because let's not get it twisted, they're still double teaming Jamar Chase, and now he's actually catching those contested catches. So
some of those
surreal.
I like the one so like the 3rd and 27 catch, obviously like back shoulder, rotates around, and then gets the extra 4 like 4 yards he needs.
Completing 3rd and 27. Let's talk about that though. That's not what we're used to. We're used to 3rd and 27.
Yeah.
We're just used to punting on 4th and 28 or
right.
4th and 15.
I mean, that catch, and then I don't know when it landed. It might have been that drive earlier when he caught the ball and then scared me a little bit by holding it out in front of him, one-handed, taunting everyone. I think it was actually earlier on that drive.
I thought he was reaching for the first down. I didn't think he was taunting.
I mean, he was already so far past the first down at that point. I think it was. I wouldn't say. Okay, in this NFL, it very well could have been a taunting flag. Oh, look at that. But I do want to go back to one other thing. Kenny Golladay this year.
Ed, it's Eason, not Easton.
I can't make the this many touchdowns. I think we did all right not picking him up. I think he might have been hurt because he's only played in 13 games, it looks like, but he's had 34 receptions for 499 yards and no touchdowns.
Kenny Golladay?
Kenny Golladay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that he's got a quarterback that may not have a starting job next year.
Oh,
so there's that.
I'm just putting out the, had we been able to get him
that are there.
And maybe he comes here and he's got Joe Burrow throwing to him, and it's different. But I still don't know that you pass on Jamar Chase.
No,
especially
like I said,
when you look at what you know now.
Right.
right?
It all worked
Like,
out, and that's not something that we're used to. Is things actually working out?
Well, let's talk about working out. When you look at the Hendrickson pickup, you look at Riley. I know Riley got hurt, like, but he was still working out. Eli Apple.
No one saw that one working out.
Chidobe Awuzie, like that. He's one of the highest rated cornerbacks in the league. Mike Hilton. All of these things that they have done, you know,
even some of the picks that are starting to pan out with Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson, some of the guys that they've picked up, even that were filling in. The one linebacker who got injured, I believe, against the Ravens.
Bocce.
Yeah, like that, he was even working out. And when linebacker's been a place that we have struggled, and you see these just free agent signings in the middle of the season that just you insert them in, and all of a sudden it's still clicking. We're just not used to that.
And
so McPherson.
McPherson. I did go back and I did go back and look at our talks. We were all hyped about the McPherson pick. I don't think anybody bashed it. Aaron actually referred to him as JV Justin Tucker, and I think he might be varsity Justin Tucker now. I don't know. Aaron will have to pick that out. It's his call. But I mean, things are working out in the Bengals' favor, and we're not used to it. This is part of what I have a lot of things to say this week came from on Twitter. This Bengals team has galvanized a fan base in a way that I haven't seen in Cincinnati. And we've been like, and I don't know, like you guys might have some other view on it, but I went to my wife had season tickets. We went for several years. I was down there. A lot of it was not this, right? It was not this experience. It was not fans that were necessarily excited to go to games because they thought that the Bengals were going to win and go to the playoffs. Sure, they made the playoffs here and there, but everybody kind of had this feeling that it was, yay, make the playoffs, and let's look to next year to see if we can't, kind of maybe do that again. I've got an 8-year-old son that literally is living and dying by the Bengals and Bearcats, and I'll get into that part of it later. But he watches these games. He knows the players. He's excited about it. He's not here for the excuses or losing, or for that matter. He doesn't take that part very well. We're working on it. But he loves the Cincinnati Bengals. He loves rooting for them. It's incredible what I'm seeing from all these fans. And I know that our super fan show that we did way back in April, they mentioned a lot of this. Bengals captain, obviously, is one that maybe sometimes people think he's on the rose-colored glasses looking through.
They think he's on the payroll.
But he's not, and he kind of, saw these things coming. The Twitter sphere has come along. There are crazy amounts of fans, and it's paid off. And the fact that you're getting a place like, shout out to Good Morning Football, because the folks on that show, and I know it was kind of spurred on by Kay Adams, but the folks on that show have, been on the Bengals bandwagon, or whatever you want to call it, sort of from the summer. So I just wanted to say thanks to the Bengals players. They're out there doing. Yep, there's Bengals captain. And then okay. And so there's another example. And there was the kid that he's actually the son of one of my coworkers that was crying. He's gone viral on I think Channel 5 shared it on their Facebook. He was crying after the Bengals won. It's great. It's awesome. The ownership seems, with Elizabeth Blackburn and Emily Parker and all the folks that are involved in the cogs down there that keep that machine running, and putting out all of this fan positive content. I can't remember the last time that a team was miking up, like a Bengals team was miking up one of their players. It seems like every week, and putting out content based on that, and letting these guys kind of be themselves and put out these videos from the locker room celebrations, smoking cigars, and just
it wasn't
having a good
safe
time
before this year. because they would have been either shitting on the NFL, shitting on the Bengals, shitting on ownership, shitting on coach. Like, it was
Okay.
not safe to mic
that's
up players before this year.
That's probably fair too.
But I mean, we go back to the offseason, and when you brought in a Awuzie, when you brought in a Mike Hilton, they wanted to be here, and that's the Joe Burrow effect.
Mhm.
When you brought in a
We
Trey
talked about that.
Hendrickson, like, he wanted to be here. When you brought in a Riley Rife, like, he wanted to be here. Like, these free agent moves, they weren't just guys that were quality guys, like, your 80 plus rating on Madden or something. Like, just, you didn't just get the guys that were highly rated, but you got the guys that were highly rated and also fit the culture that Zach Taylor was trying to build. And for those who are still somehow trying to shit on Zach Taylor, I'm not going to argue anybody who's going to say that he may not be the best at making offensive play calls. I've been saying I don't know that he should be the offensive coordinator for a very long time. What I will say, though, is you have a guy who, much like a Peyton Manning, can now audible at the line and has the trust of his coach to do so, is starting to see things open up now that he's a full season of starts. Finally, he's there after
Right.
2 years. He's finally at a full season of starts, and the game's starting to slow down, clearly. And
Yeah.
so Zach Taylor has done a very good job bringing the right guys in here to keep the culture, keep the just emotional flow of the team going where all players seem to be rowing in the same direction. And I don't know that we've had that here in at least a decade.
Well, and here's the other thing though, and you see it from these guys. It's easy to look at and I'll just keep going back to Twitter because that's sort of where I interact with a lot of these. And like, when I say interact, I mean read their posts and stuff. Like, obviously I don't know these guys, but when you win a game, whether it's a big game or not in the NFL, it's difficult, and it's easy for these guys to jump on Twitter at that point from any team and hype things up. We've seen, like we discussed earlier, after the Ravens win, after these big wins that they've had, where then they've maybe had a week, 2 weeks where it's been a little bit of maybe a bumpy ride afterwards. But you don't see, there's zero finger pointing that comes out. And
Right.
it's not exactly like, a team was, 11-0 and then lost a couple games. You wouldn't expect any finger pointing coming out of a team like that. You're talking about a team that was on a playoff bubble the entire season, and it did not seem at any point like there was any fracturing in the locker room.
A loss to the Jets can do that to a team.
A loss to the Bears.
It didn't do that to this team.
Getting thumped at home by the Browns could do that. And maybe in past seasons it has.
Not this year.
It's impressive to see. And I think a lot of that might start from Uzama. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen him not smiling. I mean, he could be upset and disappointed after a game, but he seems to kind of be the guy that's like, look, we're all going in the same direction.
He smiles when he cries, right? Like, he has to.
He's got to.
He's still smiling.
There's
tears
no way he's
streaming
not.
down his face. He can't show up to like a funeral or anything.
But this team is different. They've got a leader at quarterback. They've got leaders all over the field, but they've got a guy at quarterback that is. We're lucky to have him here, and I know we've said that before. We said at the beginning of last season, obviously before the injury, we're lucky to have a guy like that here. He shows up to work every day to do what he's supposed to do, and then and he has fun doing it. And obviously, it's like I said, it's easy to have fun when you're winning, but they haven't fallen apart when they've hit some struggles, and they just knocked off the Chiefs, won the AFC North. I mean, hell, if you would have asked a lot of people and said, look, you got to beat the Chiefs at home or go to Cleveland, knowing what everybody knows that Cleveland's been struggling, I think a lot of people would have said, well, we'll probably chalk this one up and hope we can beat Cleveland next week to get into the playoffs and win the AFC North. I think that's probably what the average Cincinnati fan or even the talking heads probably thought the same thing, right? That the Bengals, there's no way the Bengals are going to beat the Chiefs, when the Chiefs are still playing for something, right?
Yeah, they're playing for that bye. When
they lost to the Bengals, they lost their number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't out there running out their second and third stringers. And I hope if the Chiefs lose Saturday, the Bengals still have a road to that number 1 seed. I think you give it a run. Thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. Because Kansas City stands at 11-5, and we have the tiebreaker on them. Tennessee stands at 11-5. So I don't know how that tiebreaker would potentially play out if the Bengals ended up tied with Tennessee, if Tennessee would still have that win or not.
There was another scenario that has to happen for
Tennessee
for it all to fall in. Yeah, they both can't just lose.
Well,
they both have to lose, and then there's something else that has to happen. But
you also have Buffalo and New England at 10-6. So there's certainly some ways that I mean, I would think that getting the bye for the Bengals is probably not the easiest road at this point.
From the scenario that I saw, it was a fairly complicated scenario.
Yeah, but we shouldn't even be having this conversation because again, we're a year ahead of schedule, and it feels good. And I'm already excited about seeing what free agency looks like this offseason, as the Bengals are kind of in a driver's seat where they have not been before.
I think the excitement level there, obviously, let's get us a playoff win. Let's make a run here. But looking forward and into the future there, if you've got not only the Joe Burrow effect, but then success
and money to play with,
and some money, but I mean, we're talking. I'm just talking like things that may attract some of these guys here. If you've got Joe Burrow, and now maybe some of these guys are looking and saying, I want to be a part of that. I want in on that. And then they come here. And maybe the Bengals, our Cincinnati Bengals, could have a dynasty. Obviously, it's way too early to talk about that, but maybe.
I think that if you're going to
why not us?
If you're going to build it on somebody, it would be around Joe Burrow.
Why not us?
That's the kind of guy that you want to build something like that around. Thoughts on Bart Scott and his thoughts since that had not happened last week when we recorded.
He's a clown.
I know.
You guys right away this dude's a clown. Who says that?
I don't know. He's out of touch, I think, with where the NFL is at this point in time. I don't know that he actually talks to any current players anymore.
I mean, from what he said, it sounds like every former Raven and all current Ravens have a text group, and he's like, we all talk, and there's a red dot. It's going to be a red dot on him, and he's not going to be in this division very long because he's not going to want it because we're coming after him. And you aren't going after anyone, Bart Scott.
You've been out of the league for a decade. What are you talking about?
Cash your paycheck. Just say ridiculous stuff and cash your paycheck.
Yeah, I don't know what he was going for in that moment because it wasn't a good look for him. Wasn't going to look for ESPN. Wasn't going to look for Baltimore, even though he's not.
ESPN tweeted it out.
I don't know what the thought process was there. Maybe the fact that it gained clicks. Because it
certainly gained clicks.
It was controversial.
There was a lot of Bengal clicks going on with that.
I don't know, man. Ed, any thoughts on the game, the Bengals, before we move along to other topics?
No, like I said, it was just a great game. It was fun from beginning to end. I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. I was over here
Parker, Parker
Sure.
getting excited about Bengals football yet?
Oh yeah, he was playing Madden tonight. He beat the Steelers. His first time playing Madden by himself. Beat the Steelers like 22-7 or something like that. It was something good.
Teach him young. And when starting your franchise, don't trade your number 1 overall pick for Travis Kelce.
It was
As much as you love Travis Kelce.
Thanks, Chad. Really good take. I mean, I was going to say more, but I was out here tweeting things, and it is what it is. There is a movement out here on what?
Hold on. The reason I'm laughing so hard about this is because I went back, like I said earlier, and watched our pre-draft and then post-draft shows that we did over the summer.
Yeah.
And during the post-draft show, Aaron went around and asked everybody, and everybody gave their like analysis of the draft and who they thought was like a good pick and not a good pick, whatever, all the way through. And he got to Ed that day, and he goes, "Ed, what are your thoughts?" And Ed was like, B-. And that was it.
I'm over here. I'm getting
B+,
over a cold.
maybe
I'm
said
trying
B.
not to sniffle on the show.
Maybe,
It is what it is. I'm about to
Maybe
take some
he said-
medicine before I came
maybe he
down
said-
here, but I didn't do it.
B+. And Aaron was like, do you have anything else? He was like, no, everybody hit the good points. B+.
What?
And Aaron, I love you, Ed.
You have to admit, I did pretty good last week when you were here.
You
There
He's
is-
on brand.
There is a push right now on Twitter to get Elizabeth Blackburn as the ruler of the jungle for the first playoff game, since she's been absolutely critical to changing the Bengals' public view of our team, which I'm here for.
I wouldn't be.
Let's give her a little love.
They've done a really good job with that, the ruler of the jungle like shtick.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
The Bengal Jim this weekend.
Yeah, he was Bengal Jim as the fan of the year was the final ruler of the jungle for the regular season.
Here for it. It was nice.
I was there for the Kay Adams one, which is pretty cool.
And Willie Anderson. Well, she was going around.
Yeah, Willie Anderson is being he's on the ballot for the Hall of Fame.
Right, and that was a big push by Jim, Bengals Jim, who went to Canton and had a whole bunch of Bengals go to Canton. Just wild the way that this whole season has been, just with all the cosplay and the super fans and all of that chapter with the Bengals gym and kind of that kind of thing. You also had like the New Stripes guys with their merchandise that Joey was even wearing to the game with the 3 receivers on the shirt.
They've all been rocking like
it's crazy.
I want the Joe Burrow jersey with no name tag on the back. That's what I want. I'm here for that.
I'm sure. I'm actually surprised that I haven't seen some like
T-shirt
version of something. Reference that. Whatever. It was pretty neat.
So crazy, wild times for Cincinnati football. But like I said at the beginning of the show, there were some highs and there were some lows. And I was in Dallas for the final game of the Cincinnati Bearcats season as they took on Alabama in the first ever college football playoff game for a team not in the Power 5 conferences. And your Cincinnati Bearcats were taken down by the Alabama Crimson Tide 27-6. We talked at length about that last night on the BBP. What did you guys think watching that game? Because, I mean, obviously we had completely different perspectives as I was in the press box and you guys were watching from home. So I'm kind of curious what your takes were, because the only people I've talked to at length about it were Chad and Brent, who also were in the press box and on the field. So what was it like watching from home?
Chills from the beginning.
Ed looks like he's got a lot he wants to say.
Chills from the beginning, dude. Like as soon as they brought that flag out and they were the national anthem and they were more Bengals and they were, waving it and everything, like my kids were all into it. Just as soon as they announced the team and they went running out onto the field, that was crazy. Like it was crazy that we were there for that. And just the crowd atmosphere, how loud you could hear it on TV. It's just crazy that we were in that, not we, but the Bearcats were in that situation. I think I may have choked up a little bit. I did. I choked up a little bit. But it was like, and my kids sat down and watched it with me because they're not huge football fans. They love soccer, but they're starting to get into it, with the success of the Bengals and the Bearcats this year. There's a advertisement. But just chills from the beginning. And then when you were sending us pictures of like the media room, getting on Twitter and seeing the amount of people down there, I think, was it Mo and Tony did a radio show down there, and it was just like drowned out by down the drive. Like, it was just crazy that we were there.
Thoughts on the game, Ed?
Thoughts on the game? I mean, it was a good game. I mean, we weren't Michigan, right? We weren't Michigan. Did we think we were going to win the game? I was hoping we would win the game. I think we kept it respectable up until the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter is when they actually started to score on us. I think we were still within it. Some batted balls. I think that were some real changers. There was that one across the middle to Alec Pierce that was just batted down. It was the first batted ball that I think that if he would have caught that would have started a little bit of a drive and we may have gone down for a touchdown. But I mean, our defense held them. What else can you ask for? I mean, offense to play better. Yes, please. But the defense held them, and we still Sauce still walked out of there without having any touchdowns scored on him in his college career. That's one of the things I said last week that I don't want to see happen. So I don't know, dude. It was just amazing. I wasn't even upset. I wasn't even mad when we lost. Like, I was like, this is still crazy. This is still that we were here. Awesome.
What you got, Jeff?
So my parents went down to the game. So they went down like a couple days early and did some like Dallas things around the area there or whatever.
Texas Live.
And we're, I don't know if they did that. They did some like other like kind of like old people touristy things. It is what it is.
They go to the stockyard.
I think they did. And then they went to like the JFK, like the, that area, whatever. Like my parents are
George Bush Library.
They're very big Bearcats fans. It's obviously how I started as a wee pup, as a Bearcats fan.
Just a wee little lad
from the beginning. And so like hearing like what Ed's saying and seeing them on a stage like that, obviously they were in the Sugar Bowl in 2009. Things went quite a bit worse there.
Tim Tebow and Jesus, man.
It is what it is as far as that, that happened. But that was a big stage, and they were, a half second whatever ball hitting the ground from probably being in the national championship game that year.
Right.
And I looked at it, a lot of the conversation I had with people going into the game, and I know like Chad had brought it up when we talked to him on here. You give Nick Saban any extra time to prepare for a team, and you're probably going to run into some issues if you don't throw some wrinkles or you guys don't make plays. And that's not us saying anything bad about the Bearcats, because I tweeted it out. I refuse to say anything negative about anybody on this Bearcats team. These guys, and I don't know that any of them listen to our show or get any of it gets back. But what they've done, and I know I just kind of said a little bit of like this about the Bengals, but those are professional athletes, and there's like sometimes they need to do stuff in the public eye because of their bosses, whatever. They've got to go out and do this, that, and the other. The way that these Bearcats players have carried themselves, regardless of if they started their career here at Cincinnati, has been incredible. It's to the point like my oldest son watches tape on, and I tweeted this out too. There was a guy that did a review, and his name escapes me right now, but I did tweet him out and credit him. He did like a review of Ahmad Gardner and his technique, and my oldest son has watched the video several times and has made comments about maybe if I work really hard at it, I can be that could be me, like I could be that good. He's 8.
No one's going to be that good.
No, I know.
No knock on your kid, but
I'm not gonna be disappointed if my son doesn't turn out to be Sauce 2.0. But the fact that they've done what they've done here at a school where everybody has told them that they don't belong in these big games and they don't belong playing against all these kids that were 4 and 5 star kids because they came in as a 3-star or a 2-star, or maybe they came in as a preferred walk-on, what have you, is nothing short of incredible. The coaching staff there has done their job. The players there did everything they could and left their hearts on the field. I'm not disappointed in any of it. I want to give a shout out to Cole Smith for coming out and nailing the 2 field goals that he was asked to hit. The kid's been hurt. He hasn't been in a game. People were, there were some people who were probably saying he needed to be kicked off the team or not. Ever
Twitter was an ugly place for Cole Smith.
And it is what it is. But he showed up in Dallas, and they were no doubter kicks. Mm-hmm. Obviously he had to make them, and that part up until that's what kind of kept the Bearcats in the game, because we weren't gonna have any points otherwise.
Yep.
There were some drops. There were some things that happened. We got beat in the trenches. It is what it is. Alabama's Alabama.
They're 5 stars and 4 stars. Right?
They're going to play in the national championship game. I mean,
they are. Look at this team who they've lost to in the last 2 years, and it's been
the 2 teams that are going to be in the national championship game
and put out everywhere. And I don't care. I'll say it again. The only teams that have beaten the Bearcats in the last 2 years are playing for the national title on the 10th.
Yeah. By a total of 24 points.
And there's no other team in America that can say that. There's no other team in America that said that in the last 2 years, they've only lost to 2 teams, and both those teams are playing for a national championship. So, I mean, there's nothing to hang our heads about on this one. These boys.
Would I have loved it if they had gone out there and been able to, beat Alabama? Of course, everybody would have.
Yeah.
Would have gone nuts. There probably wouldn't even be a university in Clifton because it would probably be on fire. Like, let's be honest.
Well, it'd be all right. They're on virtual classes for the next 16 days. But
so, I just you look at it. I know we have, and this is a shameless plug for our Facebook page, Bearcat Nation. There are 12,500 members in there, and aside from the occasional troll from whatever team we're playing that week and the people trying to sell bootleg t-shirts, there's a groundswell of support that is out there, and it's awesome to see the collection of photos that came in from people that went down and were able to experience it. I wasn't able to experience it from that end, but experiencing it through the television set, I couldn't have been prouder of those guys. And, it's something that I will at least remember as a fan for a very long time, if not forever. And, this team has had an impact on more people than they can probably really fathom, all the way down to my small children who have taken a love for Bearcat football. They've been born into the fickle era, and they don't know how to handle anything other than a winning football team in Clifton. So let's keep it going, please, because otherwise I have to explain to them that you cannot win every game.
So I don't remember if it was, I'm doing so many podcasts at this point. I don't know if it was the nightcap. I don't know if it was the BBP. Somewhere Chad mentioned that this team is in its infancy of being an elite team. Alabama has been to the national championship 7 of the 8 years of the college football. I'm sorry, not the national championship, but they've been to the college football playoffs 7 of the 8 years that the college football playoffs have existed. Cincinnati just broke the ceiling. Oh, Chad said tap me in. Oh man.
Somebody needs to send him the
It's
link.
in the link.
I know, I'm on it. But actually, one of you send it while I'm making this point on Ed, if you can
You got that, Ed? Send him
Yeah,
an
I got
email.
text him the link. But he'd mentioned that we're in our infancy, and that's kind of where this thing is. Like, you can't expect. We were making David versus Goliath analogies here, right?
It was.
And it absolutely was. But there's it wasn't a fair fight. You don't make David versus Goliath analogies for a fair fight. It's a 1 in a million chance. We hit the 999,000. You know what I mean? You didn't hit that 1 in a million. And there were some things that kind of went the wrong way. Like the muffed punt, where if they recover it at the 6-yard line, that changes the entire momentum of the whole game going into.
And those were things that went UC's way all year that just didn't go their way on Friday.
The one occasion. So it sucks that it goes that way, but it's just, again, when you're dealing with the infancy of a program like this versus a blue blood like Alabama, who has who knows how many championships. Nick Saban alone has 7 national championships, and you were taking on a behemoth as a team of guys who were able to put it together, given the COVID super senior years that they were able to bring guys back for and play for something that this team had never been able to accomplish. And all of a sudden you're doing something that not only had this team never accomplished, but you're doing something that no other group of 5 team had ever accomplished, including UCF in a year that maybe they should have been in the college football playoff, but were held out because not a Power 5.
So and then you've got, you look at it immediately after, you've got all these people on Twitter that are, and all the talking heads, people with little verified badges and whatnot. I guess it makes them important. Like, oh, this right here is why the group of 5 doesn't belong. And not 2 hours later, you've got a group of 5 team or a Power 5 team
in
getting
Michigan.
dog walked.
Right.
We're looking at you, Dave Portnoy.
And that was funny. Dave Portnoy's like, get the little kid football off and let's see the big boy football. And big boy football didn't turn out so well.
Why Pat McAfee's doing better than him.
So, they went out there. I thought for the circumstances and what was going on, obviously we would have liked to see the offense maybe click a little bit or somebody make a big play here or there. I mean, Brian Cook has an interception. That's something that I thought maybe could have turned the tide a little bit as far as turn the tide. I thought maybe that could have been something that they, jump on as a, kind of a momentum switch. It wasn't, unfortunately. But I thought they still acquitted themselves very well, given what was in front of them.
What you got, Chad?
Oh, I just wanted to hop in.
Thought you were taking the night off.
I'm not good at that. Come on. Not work, me. Ugh. I feel
Yuck.
icky. I feel icky when I'm not doing something.
That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, we got these. These were
Gifts.
a gift from the Cotton Bowl. Little is it on the North Face? Little North Face logo on the yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we got those. If you checked into the media hotel,
Brent didn't get his.
Brent didn't get his. He didn't make it to the media hotel. If you checked into the media hotel, you got a North Face Cotton Bowl pullover.
Did you get to keep those nice little Cotton Bowl bibs that they made you guys wear?
No, we had to trade those out, and they gave us a Cotton Bowl hat in exchange.
Okay, good trade.
So,
who had the highest score? Who had the highest score on the was that the Aliens little shoot 'em up game?
Space Invaders.
Oh, Space Invaders.
Space Invaders.
I didn't get to play.
I didn't either.
So it was basically just stop by, pick up my stuff because they wouldn't let my dad and my daughter into the media hospitality room.
Speaking of, how did the big reveal to Kelsey go? When
Kelsey
you were
go,
hey,
it went good. Although so because we told her she wasn't going to get to go, she had been making plans with her friends for New Year's Eve.
Oh.
So like she got it and she was excited and she realized it. And all of a sudden she looked at my dad and I and she's like, is this fine? I have to spend New Year's Eve with you guys? And we were like, yep. But she had a blast. We went to a really good dinner on Thursday night. Had a really good time. She got to experience it. Like I told her, like, this is one of those things that you'll remember when you're like 40, 50 years old, that you were at this experience with your dad and your grandpa. And she was pissed because I guess whoever had the seats right next to the ones my dad got, my dad's a season ticket holder, so he got seats in the UC section for him and Kelsey. Somebody sold their seats to Alabama fans. So she was sitting next to Alabama fans.
Oh, no.
And she was hot. She's like, ugh.
Like, a couple tweets like that.
Bleh. Dad, I had to sit next to Alabama fans. That's when I got back to the car after the game. Like she was totally, agitated that somebody. She's like, those are supposed to be the UC section, right? Why would there be Alabama fans there? And I was like, well, that means somebody like went on, SeatGeek and sold their tickets to Alabama fans. And she's like, why would they do that? And I'm like, you're right.
The almighty dollar.
But being down on the field and looking up and seeing half of Jerry's world just be red and black. And like, I've been doing this for 16 years. I've been a UC fan almost my entire life. And seeing it, like Ed said, like you get emotional, like looking at it on TV. Imagine standing down there on the field and just seeing it, like we're all grown up, right? Like this isn't a little time football program anymore. This is a big time football program playing on the biggest stage against the biggest name, and we belong. Like, that wasn't that easily. If UC fans didn't show up, guess what? That would have been 80-20 Alabama fans, because they'd have bought the tickets. Like everybody was like, oh, Cincinnati's, the Cincinnati fans are everywhere. They're at Texas Live. They're at the tailgates. Like Alabama fans aren't even here. And then you walked into the stadium and you're like, oh, they don't play, right? Like they're not out here partying and enjoying the atmosphere. They're in the stadium and they're watching their team warm up. Like they've done this so much that it's not a novelty to them. And that's where you hope to get to. But for Cincinnati fans, act like you've been there before. Hell no. Act like this is the first time. Enjoy
Absolutely.
that shit like you'd never have enjoyed anything in your life.
Yep.
Like we would take the little they had the golf carts that would drive you around. And it was like, okay, we got to go to this tailgate here and that tailgate there. And that place is massive. So the tailgates were really far apart. And we'd hop in a golf cart and throw the driver $10 and they'd drive us, halfway across the map, and we'd hop out and stop by and tailgate with people for a little while and then find another golf cart and hop back in that. I asked the first one, I was like, can this be like Uber? Like, can we just like get your number, have you come pick us up? She's like, no, that's not how it works. I got shit to do. But you'll find another one. They'll be right here. So just the entire experience, man. Like, I know a lot of people talk about the Sugar Bowl. That was impending doom because we knew what was going to happen in the Sugar Bowl without the coaching staff, with, the situation as it was. But that team, 17-6 in the fourth quarter, man. Like, if they make a couple plays, like, we talked about this last night on the BBP, and it's more fitting here because you guys do so much Bengals talk. But why did the Bengals beat the Chiefs? Because Jamar Chase played his ass off. And because Joe Burrow was great. And that put them in a position. They were down 14 3 times to the Chiefs. And they were never out of it. And they made plays. And Cincinnati, for whatever reason, just they weren't able to make that play. They get that. think about what happens if they recover that muff punt and they go in, be it 10-6 or 10-10 at halftime, and you have a young Alabama team that all of a sudden has the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Well, there was like to that point there before the game. Obviously, you guys wouldn't have seen it because you were there. But when they were doing the ESPN talking head thing,
yeah,
a point that was made several times. I want to say it was either Desmond Howard or maybe Reese Davis. One of them made a point to say that if the Bearcats are going to win the game, it's going to be because they stick around long enough that the Alabama kids start second guessing themselves.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we pounding them into the ground?
Yeah.
And then they get over the hump. And unfortunately,
they had the opportunities and they just didn't do it.
Unfortunately, we started the climb up the hump and never got up over the top of it. And it is what it is. Like it for what the final score was, it was not an embarrassing defeat.
No.
They didn't get just like,
their head
walked out the door. It was
right.
And Alabama does that to everybody. I mean, if you go back and look, like my wife is notorious for getting into these like Twitter tiffs, but like she's smarter than 99% of Twitter, so it never goes well for anybody else. And that includes myself.
I wouldn't know how that goes.
Like anytime somebody brings stuff up and she's like, well, look at point A through Z over here, and that's exactly why it happened this way. Like it just is what it is. Like you can't tell these kids that they don't belong just because they lost here. Like, so go tell all of the Big Ten then that they don't belong because this happened. Or like there's a team every year that gets beat, and there's teams that play Alabama every year except for one in the CFP, and it typically doesn't turn out well.
Look, man, I left right after the game. We got in the car, we started driving. By the time we got to Buc-ee's, which is like 30 minutes from the stadium, Michigan was getting their ass kicked. Like,
I mean, it was 27-3 at halftime in that game.
Yeah. So look, Cincinnati did everything humanly possible to give themselves an opportunity. They just didn't make the splash play. That one program defining play. Like they recover that muff punt and they punch it in, and it's 10-10 at halftime. And all of a sudden the entire sports world is going, oh shit.
Not only is it 10-10, not only would it be 10-10,
Cincinnati gets the ball,
but Cincinnati gets the ball. Right.
And then they drive down. Say it's 13-10, 5-6 minutes into the fourth or the third quarter.
Third quarter, yeah.
And the college sports world is on its ear. Or Alabama dominates that first drive that they have, right? And Cincinnati answers right back with the touchdown.
And that's a catch. That's a catch that Alec Pierce makes every week.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he makes that catch 8 to 10 times and it just went through his hands.
It just didn't happen.
Or down 17-6, you have a ball slide right through Trey Tucker's breadbasket.
Yeah.
On a catch that he makes, 8 out of 10 times.
I came out of my chair, hit the ceiling in my basement. I was screaming because on TV,
it looked like he caught it.
It was a touchdown, and I
was standing right there, and it looked like he caught it.
Oh man! And then it they go back and ball's on the ground, whatever. And
yeah,
I'm like,
oh,
that's it.
You get the Brian Cook interception at midfield, and you go backwards 16 yards. Like that was the dagger for me. That was the one that really felt like this isn't going to happen, because there were 3 other opportunities before that where it was like, all right, like we're just a play away. They're just one play away, and they get the pick. And then there was was it snap infraction, or there was a 5-yard penalty and then a sack.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it's not happening today. It's just not happening today.
And literally, like, I mean, I saw some people saying crazy ass shit because obviously, like,
people are dumber than shit.
people just say stupid things.
One guy said him and his family are no longer traveling to UC football games as long as Luke Fickell is still a coach. Yeah,
Bye.
see ya. Extra tickets for me. Thank you.
Go watch Xavier's football team then.
Oh,
That's the truth of it. Like, we don't want you around then. Don't bring that kind of that's not what is going on here. Like, obviously Chad's brought it up. The program is in the infancy of growth as far as becoming
They're toddlers. This program is a toddler.
As far as becoming a national powerhouse team, it sucks. You got to crawl before you walk, before you run. You can't just jump all the way up to sprinting full speed into national championship games and running away with the trophy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And this
can you tell your boy Kenny Freeze that?
This team is building, and things are going in positive directions. Maybe next year there's a little bit of a plateau next year where they've got, they're losing 30 seniors. Like, it is, Aaron seems to think they're probably not going to be ranked in the top 25. Maybe they won't be.
They probably won't be the start. Not with everything that's gone.
They're losing a lot. And unless there's like some crazy other big splashes coming out of the portal that happen or whatever may be coming, like, who knows? But yeah,
Aaron, that was choreographed. You didn't participate.
I mean, I've had this conversation like 7 times at this point.
All right, I'm removing Aaron from the conversation. No, but
can you take Aaron out of the show? Put him back in the producer role.
It just is
behind the scenes. There we go.
And kicked him out. It's just one of those things. Like, you just gotta enjoy the moment, enjoy what's going on. Like, look at these guys. Like, look at the guys that are declaring for the draft. Like, they loved it here. They love being Cincinnati Bearcats. Look at guys all the way up to. I mean, you can look back at guys that maybe, they weren't all-star players when they were here. Travis Kelce, who is now probably one of the greatest NFL tight ends of all time, and he's doing down the drive in the end zone, and he's at the damn game, and he brought Patrick Mahomes to the game with him. Like,
right.
That's what this program is bringing.
So, I'm curious, did the public get to see really how that played out?
Oh, what played out?
I tell you the truth, I can't remember because my parents were they were at the game. And so they were sending me pictures. So I don't remember if I saw it on the TV or if it was from the 150 million pictures that I got from them.
It started with Mahomes. They showed Mahomes in the suite.
Yeah.
And Mahomes, like, the Cowboys fans are booing him, whatever. And Mahomes is like,
Travis, come here. With his Kermit
voice. Help me.
This is your school.
And Travis, like, I don't think, I wasn't even, like, thinking at that point what was about to happen. And he pointed over, and all of a sudden, Travis does the Chris Collinsworth slide into the screen. And the place just erupted of UC fans. And, he's giving it the Hulk Hogan, like,
turning around, like,
yeah, with the Bearcats.
I did see that part.
Yeah,
because then there was some other guy up there like waving an Alabama hat around.
Patrick Mahomes was one of the guys that played.
It was one of the guys that plays for the Chiefs that went to Alabama.
Went to Bama.
Yeah.
The
pop. Ed would appreciate this. The pop was WWE, like, the glass breaks, or like, if you smell, like, that's what the pop was when Travis Kelce slid onto the screen. And my wife and daughter are upstairs going, why is Dad screaming if you smell at the top of his lungs in our house right now?
I mean, like, I know you explained it yesterday. I guess, like, the microphones and stuff were like on the UC side of.
Yeah, the production was on the UC side. Yeah.
But it was rather incredible to hear, like, when the team ran out of the tunnel And I tweeted it out. I said, it sounds like Nippert South down there. Like, let's go. Like, let's do this. And obviously, like, I mean, I'm still, smiling and happy about. Obviously, yes, I would have been more happy had there been a victory. We talked about it. You give Nick Saban that extra time to plan. I know you touched on it last night on the VBP about they had to have seen something or noted something made. There was a tell when he was throwing short right, and because a 6'4" quarterback should not be having passes batted down at that rate at the line. It just shouldn't happen. And
the end was just standing there waiting for him. He was just like he wasn't even trying to go upfield. He was just like playing patty cake with Dylan O'Quinn. And then as soon as the ball was ready to be thrown,
it was like
Simon says, "Put your hands up."
And then Will Anderson, like that guy.
Oh God!
And I said it last night when you guys were on there. I like put a little comment in there, like they're NFL linemen that can't block him, and like the dude is unreal. He's a freak. He's gonna be incredible at the next level, and we unfortunately didn't have the horses to keep him from getting back there and causing some disruption on plays where, like the end of the half when Fickle thought maybe he was going to steal a play there at the end. I mean, he did steal the play at the end by calling a timeout when Alabama was already like packing their stuff up to head to the locker room, and he's like, like we're gonna try and throw this ball deep.
How
and then
about
Will
that?
Anderson said, no, you're not. We're going to the locker room.
How about that video of the referee carrying the Alabama equipment bag back to the locker room at halftime?
So it's a ball bag.
They got to
ball-
check.
okay.
They got to check the. They got to check the.
It's fairly standard practice.
I assumed it was something petty like that. Yeah.
They got to check the balls.
You can't have a deflate gate situation.
Have you
And
guys
then-
seen what Mike Golick Jr., who wants to be so much like his dad, but he's never going to be, tweeted out about 5 hours ago?
No.
Iowa State and Cincinnati fans, are you good? Because of the whole Michigan Jim Harbaugh thing?
Huh?
What?
I don't think I know.
Jim Harbaugh wants to go back to the NFL, and so he's trying to say that Cincinnati fans should be scared that Fickle's going to go to Michigan.
Fickle hates Michigan.
That's what I'm saying too. Why would he say something?
Whatever. That threw off my entire thought.
I'm
process
sorry.
that I was about to go into, Ed. Dang it. No,
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
And then, like I said, like I mean, this is probably the end of what I'm going to say about the UC football stuff for at least the next like 10 to 15 seconds. But Cole Smith, mad props. I know we touched on it earlier, but like I want to say it again. Like the kid was hurt all year. There were people that were saying he should transfer and play on Xavier's football team, and I'm making that joke again. I don't care. He comes in and knocks a couple of them through without issue. That was great. He had the rake, booming punts, necessary, hitting his career long 54-yard punt, going down. I don't know who the one Alabama kid is that decided that the 110-pound punter needed to be thrown to the ground, but they did, and that kind of that pushed Alabama back on that one. Sauce Gardner doing what he does, matched up against probably one of the, if not the best wide receiver in the NCAA, top three. What, two catches for -2 yards? Is that right?
Yep.
Against him. So
That's correct.
So suck it on that, everybody that said that I had to like get into talks with saying that he was going to go for 180 and 4 touchdowns, and that Sauce wasn't good at all. Sauce is so good that Nick Saban realized there's nothing that we can do. There's not a month, 6 months, 12 months. There's no planning that can go into it that we can beat him. We're just not going to even try. Because when we do, -2 yards. Good on him. Good on Kobe Bryant. Good on our guys. The only one that they beat an injured Arquan Bush on a busted play down the sideline. It happens.
Yep.
But the Bearcats, damn it, they're going to be my team forever, and they should be your team forever. Jump on the bandwagon. I won't make you fill out a form. Just get on it. Let's go. And into the Big 12 in a couple years, and better recruits, new recruits, not better. I'm not going to say that. New recruits and more runs into the CFP. That's all I'll say.
I think this will be the first of many fun rides for Cincinnati. I don't think this is the end by any stretch. I think this is just like we talked about numerous times tonight this season. This is the beginning, and I think that I don't know. We took one on the chin.
Absolutely.
I don't know when we'll be back, but I don't think that was the last time that you'll see Cincinnati, especially if they expand playoffs.
For sure.
I think that's done and done if that's the case. So,
I mean, and then Myjai Sanders made himself a whole lot of money in that game. Like
Kobe,
he finally was able to be on the big screen or whatever you want to call it, showing that he is a very disruptive individual.
Well, he finally had single, like he was finally single teamed. He wasn't double teamed like he was all year in conference.
And he did he acquitted himself well. And damn it, Dez might not have had the best game of his career, but the dude's name is going to be in there. There are going to be a lot of names in the Ring of Honor that come off of this team, and I don't know that we have time really to hit them individually and talk about them. But there are going to be several names from this team that are going to be in that Ring of Honor. I know Chad said it yesterday. They don't retire numbers. I don't know who that was like demanding they retire the number one,
yes.
but like
or number 9.
Well, they're just not going to do that. But there's a lot of names. Obviously, like the whole football team is probably going to go the way of the 09 team into the Hall of Fame as a team. There's just a lot of special dudes on this team. And this is me as a fan and as a parent, I can't say thank you enough to the guys that were down there in Clifton busting their tail the last few years, the guys that will continue to bust their tail down there, making this program better than what it is now, which is at the highest point that this program has been for what they've done for fans and the city and kids that want to play football and grow up to become Cincinnati Bearcats, because there are kids that don't want to become Ohio State Buckeyes. They want to become Cincinnati Bearcats, and that's just plain and simple what it is right now.
Also, the guys that came back when they didn't have to.
Right.
I mean, that was a big deal as well for this team. So, tip of the cap to your 2021 Cincinnati Bearcats, and there's a lot of personalities and faces that we're gonna miss, and that maybe we're taking for granted.
And I might go bankrupt buying all of their jerseys from whatever NFL team they end up on. Sorry.
To your point, Jeff, like, so this is kind of like behind the curtain. I've had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere and do what I do. And the one reason I didn't was because my dad and my daughter have like a really special bond. And taking her away from him was something I couldn't bring myself to do. And to see them get to bond over this season, the way that my daughter, like on her own volition, went all in on this UC team, was the payoff. Right? Like, I don't get to go to games with my dad anymore. Like we get to, he rides with me to games, we go to tailgates, we hang out, but then, an hour and a half before kickoff, I have to go to work. So I don't get to like sit in the stands with my dad anymore like I did growing up, that was our thing. We went to games. And like I people were like, when was your first Reds game? I was like, I don't know. I was like 1. When was your first Bengals game? I don't know. I was 3. Like my dad has been dragging me to games my entire life. And to see that become their thing because of the buzz around this team and the hype around this team, and to see my daughter get caught up in it. All she wanted for Christmas was UC stuff. All she wanted was to go to the Cotton Bowl. Like, I don't even know, without like breaking down right now, how to describe the fact that my dad got that. You know, my daughter, like, yeah, it's going to be important to her for the rest of her life, but my dad's in the 60s, man. Like, you guys know how that is. All our parents, Aaron got to go with his mom. Like, he got to experience that and share that. So that, like, and to think that there's so many other of those stories that happened out of those 40,000 people that went to that game. Like, it meant a lot to this city. It meant a lot. And then to follow it up with the Bengals, you know,
right,
beating the Kansas City Chiefs to win the AFC North and go to the playoffs. And like, it was a special weekend in Cincinnati, man. It was a special weekend in Cincinnati. For real.
And then on top of all that, Butch Jones got to experience it with his dad, Nick Saban. So that was good.
I should have gone over and said hi. I didn't. I should have gone over and said hi to Butch.
Man,
Dude, those field suites, what a brilliant idea that is.
I didn't even realize what that was. Like, I was trying to like think in my head, like, what the hell is going on over there? And then when you said like field suites, I was like, oh, you can watch the game from down on the field.
You're watching this. You're watching the big screen from down on the field.
You can't see it because of the bodies in front of you.
Yeah.
So you're watching the video board, but like there was elaborate open bar setups and like you know, the catering and the whole 9 yards. You know, we talked about it last night. The mac and cheese Jerry World. Holy, that's.
I heard you say that it was good.
That's some good shit.
Yep.
And the tenderloin with the fresh carving station tenderloin with the red wine reduction. Like, they do that Aramark does not cater Dallas Cowboy games.
No. It's real.
It's on a little bit of a different level. But it was amazing, man. It was amazing. Like, I wouldn't, obviously a win would have been everything you could have ever asked for.
Right.
But the experience itself, and just like, you know, what if I'd have told you in 2000, like, go to hell, get a job, like, you're stealing money, Tommy.
Right.
If I would have told you, but if I would have told you in 5 years this team's going to be in the playoff, you'd be like, shut the fuck up, Jim. You're such a homer.
Like, you just gotta, like, you just look at it and it's.
By the way, your boy Brian Kelly was just on TV a little bit ago.
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him.
Said he couldn't get his accent down. I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents. You can't get on me about my accent.
Did he say that, really?
Yes.
Come on.
Family.
Was he there with his family?
He said he couldn't get family down.
I mean, it's just, I know we've kind of at this point beaten a dead horse, but it's a great thing. It's only going to get better, and I'm here for it. We'll obviously all be here for it. And
no one can stop us. We're on the way up.
Exactly. That's what's good. Is like, you know what? Like, this team is gonna just continue this program. This program is gonna get better. It really is.
That was a good Cincinnati team. They belonged in the college football playoff.
Right. I mean, it's there, and there are Alabama fans that I've seen out there that were like, "Yo, was nervous."
Yeah.
Until, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It is what it is. Like, they had a great game plan. I think Chad said it. Man. I think Chad said it last night. They took Tulane's game plan and put Alabama players out there, and
yeah, it was a tribute to John Madden. They took the Tulane playbook and they used the Alabama players.
right?
Shit,
And
that's a pretty good game plan.
and you know, with no big play from the Bearcats, it turned into, you know, it was what it was. But that's not to say that, you know, anybody in this city isn't proud of those guys down there and what they've done, and we'll continue to root for them wherever they end up in the future, and we'll continue to root for the kids that are gonna put on the CPAW next year and for many years after that.
We talked about this on
Big 12, but
we talked about this on the nightcap. I'm curious of your guys' take, Ed and Jeff. Ahmad Gardner, the best player, the most dominant player to ever put on a CPAW on the football field.
So to preface, like, what I'm going to say is, like, I don't know a lot of history before kind of when I was like growing up, right? And a lot of the teams I was growing up with were
not a lot of people did, Jeff. There's only 20 people at those games.
Yeah, that's true. But and like, you can talk about some guys that were really good here, but I don't know if you can talk about anyone who was really good and just outright dominant at their position, doing what their position calls for them to do and more. He scored more touchdowns than he allowed because he allowed 0.
He scored 3.
And he had 3. He got to the point where he wasn't considered for the award for his position because no one wanted to challenge him. He didn't have enough stats on the book to warrant giving him an award, which should have been an award in and of itself.
He was by far the best cornerback in college football this year. And Kobe was second. Like make no mistake about that. Kobe didn't fluke into the Thorpe Award. Kobe was the second best corner in the country this year.
There's a reason he got the Thorpe Award, right?
Because everybody threw at him instead of Sauce, and he was still great. Yeah.
But you've got a guy that's out here that a coach, like, and I said it a minute ago, and you said it last. Nick Saban had a month to prepare, and in that month, he found that his best way of winning was to not try and throw the ball at either one of the to the boundaries on either side. He was not going to win the game doing that, so he knew he needed to run the ball. That should say enough about the Cincinnati cornerbacks, and so I think you've got to say that he's the best player, most dominant, successful player to come out of UC when you look at their college career. Obviously, you can look at some guys that have gone on to the NFL and done some special things. At UC, I think you have to say, and there might be some recency bias with this, but I don't think so.
There's not.
Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner, however he's going to end up going by, probably Sauce forever.
Frozen.
That was awesome, by the way, when I saw it, that kicked up, because I never would have like thought that, like, oh yeah, Frozen. But then when he was calling him that, and I don't know if that was the jersey reveal, like the Let It Fly thing. I was like, it does look like Frozen. Give me my super suit. And he's had a super suit on since he's been here, and we're all gonna miss watching him out there shutting things down, and now teams are going to be able to throw to the whole field, and who knows?
We're going to find out real quick next year how good Sauce was. Because that side of the field, how good both of them are. But I'm just saying, in general, like, that side of the field is going to be open for business again, and we're all going to be like, "What the hell? Why are they completing passes 12 yards down the field? What do you mean they're getting first downs throwing the ball? That's bullshit."
Like,
Harry Eliano is not as good as we thought he was.
I mean, all the way down, all the way down to what? Because Arquan's a senior.
No,
right?
Arquan will be back.
Does he have another year to come back?
Yeah, he's a year. Yeah, he's got an extra year. So he's in his third year. So he's got one more.
Would that be, I guess, his COVID year or whatever?
No, I think that's his regular year.
His regular year?
He came in with there. He
Well,
might.
you know what?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
Whatever.
that
He'll be back next year.
but that group is a special group and is obviously led by two. Like, I got in a fight with a guy that was saying that
Like a fist fight?
no, a verbal
Okay. A verbal altercation.
an internet kerfuffle
Never
with an
engaged.
individual who said that
I don't do this.
I know you don't. You don't ever involve yourself in that.
You just got to keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling.
This guy said that Kobe Bryant changed his number to 8 to honor Kobe Bryant, the real Kobe Bryant, so that people would know his name. And I said, or so he could get attention and people would know his name, at the end of the year before the draft. And I said, I'm pretty sure that the Thorpe Award took care of that. And he was like, Thorpe Award took care of what? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe being named the best cornerback in the country.
Best defensive back, and not just corner. That's a corner and safety award. He was the best defensive back in the country.
Regardless, the award means that there are people, because he was like, there's the only people that knew his name were people in your conference. No, guy, that's an NCAA award. Right. That means that there were people that level of disrespect is ridiculous. It's stupid when they deserve better than that. And he obviously, he got it. He got the award, so he got the respect there. But it's like, replace those two guys we're gonna find out. Like you said, we're gonna find out what it's like.
There's good corners. There's good corners behind them, but they're
not
good.
Sauce 2.0.
They weren't good. They were great. They were
elite,
program changing. Like the word generational talent gets thrown around too much, probably. Ahmad Gardner was a generational talent, and you can say generational because he was the best football player to ever put on red and black. Like I'm convinced of that. Like there have been tons of other great players that put on this uniform. There was no one that ever changed, not just like the week to week game plan. They changed the way Cincinnati played defense based around the fact that they knew what happens over on the boundary is not a factor. Like they can't throw at him. They can't make a play. They can't move the ball down the field over there.
I think Sauce has the opportunity to pretty much go down in the same type of lore that Kenyon Martin did with the basketball team as a guy known by just one name, Kenyon Sauce. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the same parallel there where you literally were the entire program as far as like just the brand, the work ethic, you did everything right as far as on the field, as far as in the classroom. Like I don't think you can knock Sauce for anything that he did while he was here, same as Kenyon. And I think that the two of them will be just kind of the guys that anyone who talks about those teams they're kind of the first people that they talk about where it just changed the program.
When you talk about greatness in Cincinnati football, you're going to talk about Sauce. Like, are they as good as Sauce? Or do they make the impact that Sauce made? And Aaron, there's another one. There's a third, Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar, Kenyon, Sauce.
And the Uke.
In baseball, yeah, for sure. The Uke. That's the name of the baseball message board on Bearcat Journal.
Put us on the board. Let's go. Hey,
that's my boy. That's my boy. Jeff understood the assignment.
I think we might need to change. Like we might need to change the name of the boards. The football board is just going to be called the Sauce.
The Sauce.
I hate it.
And the basketball board just Kenyon. Kenyon, Sauce, Uke.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's special. Yeah, just it's special, and like I've had lots of conversations with lots of people, and like I had coworkers that were able to go down, and like it's just special is the only word that I can come to bring out for this whole
Muster
thing.
up.
Yep, that's what I was looking for there, Ed. I've
Good job, Ed.
I've lost my brain
I'm
at this
proud of
point.
you.
Well, one last thing that we need to touch on, as I think have beaten dead horses.
I'm not talking about the basketball game.
Well, and I didn't really want to talk about the basketball game because I don't think that there's anything that we didn't touch on last
We
night
have to.
on the
Versus
BVP.
basketball
As
game.
far as the actual game itself, I mean, it was a horrendous first half. Ended up being 48-25 in the first half, and then UC held Tulane to 5 field goals in the second half and dominated in the second half after they actually decided to come out and play. And I know Chad's just irate in the fact that he hustled back from Dallas to watch a team that didn't seem to be out there. Maybe they were feeling the New Year's hangover, if you will. I don't know, but there were people coming for Wes Miller's job after that game, and I know that you guys wanted to touch on that because I know how you guys are as fans.
I just want the fans to know that I'm screenshotting. Apparently you can bookmark. Thanks, Aaron, for that information. But I'm saving your tweets. I'm screenshotting them. I have a special folder on this iPhone. So all your tweets about how Wes Miller is not going to be the person and the athletic director needs to know that this is championship basketball. Yeah, I know. I'm talking to you, Steve. This isn't YMCA basketball. Hey, Phil, this Phil guy's apparently going to be an Ohio State fan now because I'm saving these. I'm saving these. Evan, yeah, coach the fire. When you fire a coach for being hard on kids, you cannot expect to beat a 4-6 team. I'm saving that one, Evan. I just want you guys to know these are all being saved. When you finally remember, Jeff, why do you have a picture of me?
Why did that happen? What is that?
These are all being saved for when you actually remember that Wes Miller had 30 days to put a team together. 30 days to put a team together. The future is bright. We'll be fine with Wes Miller.
What? Why is it doing that? I wonder if it's because I'm also logged in as like the
Probably it.
And that's weird.
That's hilarious.
It's creepy.
This reminds me of a time on a party ambulance when you were macking up on my wife like that too.
You look better with a beard, Ed.
Thank you.
Did you say that I was not macking up on your wife?
I don't know. This is
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Bye, Chad.
Gently.
The
The basketball team will be fine.
Awkward.
Jeff, did you have any additional thoughts on the state of the basketball program after a loss to Tulane, 4-6 Tulane?
No, I'm leaving exactly. No, I'm not talking about the basketball. I'm too happy with what happened this weekend for the most part.
Except while we've been recording the show, there has been breaking news. The game on Thursday night against SMU has been changed from 9:00 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. So,
they pushed it back more.
Yeah, they've pushed it back to 9:30. I already yelled at Justin.
They do realize that we're in Eastern Standard Time Zone, right?
I gotta work the next morning. I'm gonna watch, but I gotta work the next morning.
Chad, how do you feel about that game getting pushed back to 9:30?
I know
There's not gonna be anybody there.
About 9:00 last night, so
They're gonna have you on play-by-play again?
No. I might be watching that game from home. Like,
that's what a lot of people are saying on the internet right now.
Really?
I think that arena might be empty. Might be a good time to go down. 9:30. Hold on, I got it right here.
That's bananas.
Per Justin Williams.
Are you just finding that out? There's no way.
Yeah, I've been here talking to you guys. I haven't really been
paying attention to Twitter.
Paying attention.
Chad's distraught. I saw his eyes when Ed said it had been moved to 9:30. It was like,
just watching this all wash over him.
I didn't cry when I was talking about the bond between my dad and my daughter, and I want to cry right now because that's
9:30.
I'm not going to be in bed until like 4:00 in the fucking morning.
After press conferences and everything. Yeah.
You're gonna have to have like a morning cap, a morning starter. You're gonna need to switch over. You're gonna need to switch over to
It's going to be coffee and a bagel.
You're gonna need some extra galactic chicken at 9:30 at night when you're watching this game.
You're gonna need to do like a little like maybe some Jameson and
I was gonna
Bailey's.
say Bailey's and coffee with BCJ.
Yeah. Good morning, BCJ.
This is devastating.
Sorry to do that to you.
I was already pissed it was going to start at 9.
Why?
I don't
is
understand
that?
why
Is
it's
that
starting
'cause
at 9
it's
o'clock.
because that's an ESPN game.
Yep.
Yes.
They moved it to ESPN, so there must be a bowl game or something on before it.
Can we just move it to ESPN Plus and go back to the standard 7:30?
Yeah. 7.
There's got to be better basketball that you can
I just
put-
renewed my
put on
ESPN
TV.
Plus, so I'm okay with it.
Oh,
Can we,
man.
No!
can we just do what the Reds did and like bump some of these up to like, you know, like 6:30 or 6:40?
I love that during the COVID season when baseball was starting at like 5 o'clock when I was getting off of work. Like, this is great. Or they'd play in the mid afternoon. I'm like, I throw that on the TV while I'm working.
I want to throw something right now.
Don't do it. It's not advised.
Maybe I'll throw my did you get one of these, Aaron?
Yeah, I never actually popped it into a USB drive though.
What is
Me
it?
either. So it's the Cotton Bowl trophy, right? And then it's got a USB drive that has the media guide.
That's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool,
cool.
actually.
But now
I-
I'm going to throw it against the wall and smash it.
I 3D printed an NCAA basketball national championship trophy so that I would have one before Xavier.
Ed's been really proud of that. That's the only thing he's ever 3D printed because his printer broke.
Oh, I have this Edgar Craig too. I haven't finished.
Glowing
Why is
paper.
why is that just in your pocket, Ed?
I was actually just moved it over to the other side of the desk. And then you said it, and I was like, "What am I gonna say?"
It's like, look, I got an Edgar Craig. If you weren't married, Ed, would that be like a thing you did at the bar? Would you just pull random 3D printed awards out, like trophies from different shows? Like,
You want a flexible dinosaur?
like, like look,
I've got the glove from Infinity. Like,
Oh, that's Jeff. That's Jeff.
what
Oh,
are you
man.
snapping for?
I don't know.
Because I just remembered what I wrote down for my AEW talk.
Oh yeah,
We haven't even gotten
still
to
got
that yet.
60
No.
seconds with Ed.
I was gonna say I think we're about done with Cincinnati sports. I think we can all pretty much collectively agree that Bart Scott was the bum of the week.
I
Without
don't know,
going,
Mark Schlereth.
Bart Spot or
Schlereth
Kenny
was
Freeze?
also up
Schlereth,
there.
Schlereth was the bum of the week, for sure.
I don't know what he was trying to do. Like,
Well, he dumped all over the Bengals taking Chase instead of Sewell.
right, and
So
double
people
down.
So people flooded his timeline with like,
'Cause they
hey,
kept the
clown.
receipts.
Yeah, hey, clown. So then he got in his feelings. It's like,
Man
look, man,
101.
when you get it wrong, you got to just be able to go, hey, I got it wrong.
I
Man
will say he
101.
did-
You're
he
welcome.
did- He did put out an apology video today. I don't know if you saw it or not, where he
No,
was
I
like, all right, he's like, you guys are right, like blah blah blah. Like I know when to take my, like, they had a great season, enjoy it, yada yada yada. But at the end of it, he's like, I'll go ahead, I'll take this L, and he put his hand up to his forehead with his Super Bowl rings on his finger. Like I can appreciate that. That's funny.
Yeah,
I'll take
that's good. I like if you're good, like if you're gonna troll, have some humor, have some, like, don't just be butthurt. Like,
Right. Don't be butthurt. Don't be
I've had
butthurt.
people back in the December leading up to Burrow getting drafted, before Joe went like superhuman in the semifinals and the finals. I was on this rampage of like, I don't care what they do. It's Mike Brown, and what they've done for the past 5 years is fuck everything up. So I don't care about trade the pick. Get reduce the amount of error as much as humanly possible. And there have been some people that have showed up back in my mentions like, you want to own that? And I'm like, I'm good.
Never mind.
I'm good.
I will take a mulligan on that tweet.
Yeah, I'm good. The point wasn't about Joe Burrow. The point was about Mike Brown and Duke Tobin, who at the time, Duke Tobin had been terrible at his job for like 4 years.
I mean, Aaron called Evan McPherson JV Justin Tucker. So
how'd that work out?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking all right. It's looking very all right now.
I did say, I was like, it'll be nice if, maybe he can hit a couple of 50-yard field goals, and I guess that's been okay.
All of them. All of the 50-yard field goals.
Right, exactly. Everything. He looks at it, it's going through.
All right, Ed, are you like proofreading to make sure that you can read your writing for your 90 seconds, sir?
I'm not gonna be able to read this still.
60 seconds. Aaron, what are you doing?
He's not gonna.
I could use 90 seconds. I got a lot written here.
Here we go. Count him down, Aaron.
All right, 60 seconds of AEW goodness. Ed, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
All right, your time starts now.
All right, this week I watched AEW Dynamite. Oh, why am I with a big screen? After a battle with cancer, the Hall of Famer and the King of Barbecue, Jim Ross, has returned to the booth. Love to see Jim Ross, as he's been a fixture in professional wrestling for many years. He has called a lot of slobber knockers and has pronounced Mick Foley dead at least 50 times. One of the matches I watched was Thunder Rosa versus Jade. Here are my thoughts. On the screen, on the small screen that I'm watching, Jade's manager looks like B Fox. While Rosa has an X-Men spikes on her hands, that's dangerous. Rosa's whole outfit looks like Wolverine. That's 2 Marvel references. I hope maybe Jeff will be happy. Every time they say Thunder Rosa, I think of Ponderosa. That place absolutely sucked. JR just said Lex Luthor reference. This is just a Marvel sponsored match. I'm convinced of it. Some lady named Mercedes just attacked Rosa. I don't know. I stopped watching the match. Some rumors that I've seen this week. One AEW blogger believes that Stone Cold Steve Austin could join the AEW if he's guaranteed a match against CM Punk. And JR calls it. Damn it, I had one more.
Nope.
It was a Tim Tebow slight.
Nope. Try again next week, Ed. Thanks.
I just love that he had to interject, here are my thoughts, as if they'd be anyone else's during his time that he's giving his 60 seconds.
Here are my thoughts.
I wrote that.
You said
Send
it.
Send us out of here, Aaron. Let's wrap this thing up.
That was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Ed, as always, be better.
Be better. I had 206 words written down. I got like 150 of them out.
That's not. I don't even think that's good reading. Like some people type faster than that. For my good buddies, though, Ed Mayhall, Jeff Howell, and special guest appearance by the guy who can't stop working, Chad Brendel.
Councilman's gonna love that one.
I'm Aaron Smith, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Da-da-da.